What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Haven't done a YouTube in a while, so I wanted to pump out a couple of recent movers that are pretty relevant in this market. First up, you can see a nice chart of the Dow, which is the index that I usually like to follow, which is transports. You can see we're just ripping to all-time highs ever since we started the year. You got January starting right here. Had this really nice flag breakout, basically over this 25,000 psych level, and ever since then, we've just been ripping higher, yesterday being one of the better days of the year, Dow being up almost 200 points plus. So that being said, there's been a lot of momentum names to play, and I want to talk about a couple in particular that have to do with reoccurring theme that was in November, reoccurring theme that was in December, and the theme basically coming over into this year as well, and that's blockchain. Any company that's been announcing some type of headline, just with the PR in it, you're seeing these stocks make absolute explosive moves to the upside. Again, it's more of a buy first, ask questions later type of market. So that's just the trend that we're seeing. So the first one I'd like to talk about that's probably the most notable is Kodak, Eastman Kodak. Who would have thought, 2018 company that makes cameras would end up making a move like this. So just looking at the daily chart, this is a stock that used to be, way back when, 40 bucks. Ever since then, we've basically just slowly trickled down to this $3 zone where it's basically just been consolidated. You can see 385 was a pretty significant level. And looking at the 5-minute chart over the past couple of days, they released news that they basically partnered with a company that licensed their technology to create a blockchain rig. And you can see on day one, we had this really nice pop immediately from $3 to as high as 550, which is basically almost a double in a very short time. And then we ended up coming down and holding that exact 385 level. And this I can't stress enough. Multi-time frame analysis using the daily chart in combination with the intraday chart to figure out where is there going to be reasonable and rational support and resistance on a stock. And this is what's called a resistance to support switch. If a stock breaks over prior resistance and that level on a retest acts as support, that is a very bullish indicator. So I'm sure that a lot of people got short. This got halted off of this irrational move. But again, in this market, trades get really crowded really fast. And what happened was the stock was readily available to short, on top of being a 5-cent tick pilot name, not easy to trade in my opinion, and it got really crowded really fast. You just see the close near 7, following day the gap up to about 13, and then at that point, you're looking at the daily chart, we really had a lot of resistance. What I like to do is look at previous breakdown zones, so about 13 bucks, and I would say that the next level was about 15. Everybody was talking about. I think because everybody was looking for 15, that's why it never got there. And then you see the basically 13 retest on the 10th, and then you can see the first lower high at about 1240, and ever since then it was kind of just a slow drip down. So I have no problem, playing these momentum names to the long side, but once, especially a stock like Kodak, which is up 300, 400% within a day or two, I'm definitely short biased on a name like this. But because I don't like to trade these tick pilot names, I kind of avoided this. I was hoping after this weakness day on day 3, if we would have got a gap up over 10, you can see this $10, which is a huge psych zone, act as major support. So once we got that confirmation of a breakdown, if we did come back up to test that, I was going to probably dabble at a short. The highest we did get was 990, 980, and then you just get this slow trickle down where this is basically trading at about $8 today. So that was the plan. Kodak again. CEO even came out and said that this doesn't change any fundamentals about the company. They have barely $200,000 in working capital in the bank, so probably due for a raise soon. So once Kodak, made a huge rip, there was another stock that made a huge rip as well. I'm just going to have you guys focus on the daily chart here. AMRH announced a potential blockchain development, and again, being a completely fundamental garbage company, doesn't really matter. You can see this stock was basically consolidating between 380 and $2, and you get this major explosive move to about 13.50 to be exact. And just looking at a smaller time frame, again, this is completely right down. You get the momentum from 9 to 13. Right out of the get-go. And again, this being a low float, once we tapped out up here off of this really irrational move and we cracked below VWAP, you just get this really quick descending triangle formation. where the stock broke down. 980 or $10. Again, a huge psych zone being the first double-digit hold number. Ended up playing as resistance, and this thing just completely ate it and was basically back to where it came from. So this is where you need to just separate some of these names, guys. It's fine to play the momentum to the upside, but you definitely want to be a little bit cautious trying to swing these for a further move. You know, maybe look at a little bit of fundamentals and see if the news is for real. Is the company for real? Do they have any cash? These types of things definitely help. So the last one I wanted to talk about that was yesterday's play was RMGN. Wasn't a definitive headline on this, but there was a spec headline that this was going to be developing some type of blockchain. So this being, again, very similar stock that used to be $90, all the way back down to the reverse split last year, and then you basically get this nice consolidation under $1. And we like to look for these really nice dollar rolls because that tends to be a huge psych zone as well. So basically on the 10th, you get the first rip over 1, and I was watching this on this day for this breakout over 98. But the volume was super low for me. To try and size into this stock was really difficult. The spread, the volume, you can see there's really just volume in the morning. And then what happened was throughout the day, there was basically zero volume. And then today you get, of course, the PR, and then you get the explosive move to the upside. So the reason I want to bring this stock up is it's fine to play the momentum from 160 for the $2 break. We got as high as 250. But there's an absolute reason and rational reason we topped out near 250. Let's go look at the daily chart. You have all this major resistance basically right here between 270 and 250. Super ugly daily. Tons of VMAs that it broke through. But again, to sustain this type of momentum, you're going to need to see really significant volume. Although it did see a lot of significant volume for those of you that were watching the level 2. We were talking about this on Foos TV. You were just seeing a shit ton of dilution at that 250 level. Every time it touched it, there was sellers coming in, whether it was shorts or whoever was selling. Every time we tapped that level, it was just huge sell bars. So it was really difficult. Foos nails the short for the over-under strategy, which is something we teach right out of the open, nailing from the high 2s right when we crack below 2, kind of cover on that panic zone. But again, this was super choppy. These are 1-minute charts, and they're basically each almost 30 cents wide. So to size in was a little bit difficult, but in my opinion, the best time to size in was on this third retest, where once we got to about 244, again, little tape reading skills involved, we failed. This was the time to take that short and possibly risk, maybe you risk 10 cents, try and get in the 240s, risk off 255 just to give it a little bit of wiggle room, and play that for the crack below 2. And this was an absolute monster move to the downside. Ended up going as low as $1.50. So this is definitely going to be watched going into today. But I just wanted to discuss some of the recent movers. This blockchain theme seems to be still panning out, guys. So definitely looking forward to continuing to play these momentum names going forward.